Deep within the heart of the untamed wilderness that is Wells Gray Provincial Park, an enchanting realm of rugged grandeur and enigmatic wonders, our saga unfolds. It is a tale that weaves the threads of a family's aspirations into a nightmarish tapestry of chilling proportions. In the second day of August 1982, the Johnsons and Bentleys, inextricably linked by the bonds of both matrimony and friendship, embark upon a voyage that was initially envisioned as a joyous 2-week camping sojourn. The ensemble consists of Bob and Jackie Johnson, accompanied by their vivacious daughters Janet and Karen, as well as the venerable figures of Jackie's parents, George and Edith Bentley. With their hearts and minds set upon the pristine allure of Wells Gray, this intrepid crew forges ahead. Their journey, brimming with eager anticipation and infectious laughter, unfolds against the backdrop of the untamed Canadian wilderness. Their destination of choice? A fabled rendezvous point nestled deep within the wilderness, Old Creek. This particular locale is handpicked for its serenity and the innate magnificence bestowed upon it by nature itself. As the Johnsons and Bentleys finally approach their idyllic destination, a symphony of pine-scented breezes and the harmonious rush of water serenades their senses. Old Creek, a secluded sanctuary cocooned by towering trees and teeming with life, reveals itself as their ephemeral heaven. Wells Gray Provincial Park, a jewel nestled in the heart of British Columbia, spans over 1.3 million acres, making it one of Canada's largest and most diverse natural sanctuaries. Established in 1939, this park has become a testament to the raw, unbridled beauty of the Canadian wilderness. The park's history is as rich and varied as its landscape, named after Arthur Wellesley Gray, a dedicated public servant passionate about preserving British Columbia's natural splendor. Wells Gray is also famed for its majestic waterfalls. The most celebrated among these is Helmkin Falls, a 141-meter cascade, 3 times the height of Niagara Falls. It presents a breathtaking spectacle of nature's power and beauty. Beyond its natural allure, the park has been a site of scientific research and environmental studies, contributing significantly to the understanding of Canadian ecology. The park's previous notable events include historical tales of Indigenous peoples, the European explorers who marveled at its untouched beauty, and early settlers who sought to harness and preserve this land. Each layer of its history contributes to the rich tapestry that makes Wells Gray Provincial Park a place of wonder and intrigue. The families, armed with maps and a sense of adventure, plan to immerse themselves in the park's natural wonders, but as they journey deeper, they are unaware of being watched. A local with unknown motives is drawn to them. What dark thoughts lurk behind his gaze? They arrive at the campsite, a remote slice of paradise. They set up tents, start a campfire, and the night air fills with the sound of their joy. But as darkness falls, the isolation of the wilderness becomes palpable. Here, in the embrace of the forest, a chilling reality sets in. They are alone, miles from the nearest soul. In the vastness of Wells Gray, nature holds its breath and secrets hide in the shadows. What transpired in those secluded woods? As the night deepens, so does the mystery. Join us as we explore the unknown, piecing together a puzzle that has haunted the annals of true crime for decades. In the quiet corners of a small town not far from the majestic expanse of Wells Gray, David Shearing lived a life that mirrored the park itself, serene on the surface, but hiding dark depths beneath. His family, known for its ties to law enforcement, had instilled in him an awareness of the thin line between right and wrong. Yet, somewhere along that line, David had strayed into the shadows. He had been a regular child in many ways, attending school, graduating, even mastering the intricacies of heavy machinery. But beneath this facade of normality, there lurked a more troubling nature. His involvement in a hit-and-run incident 2 years prior, a secret buried in the park's winding roads, was a prelude to the darkness that was gradually enveloping him. As he grew older, David found himself increasingly drawn to the wilderness of Wells Gray. He knew every trail and hidden corner like the back of his hand. But it wasn't just the beauty of nature that drew him there. It was the isolation, the sense of power he felt away from the prying eyes of the world. In these vast expanses, he harbored fantasies that grew darker with each passing day. Then, one summer day, as families from far and wide descended upon the park for their annual retreats, David's dark fantasies began to take a sinister turn. He watched from afar as the Johnsons and Bentleys set up their camp, a spot he knew well. To any onlooker, he was just another local, enjoying the park, but his intentions were far from benign. The laughter of the children, the contented voices of the adults, these are the sounds of a family at peace. They work together, setting up tents, unrolling sleeping bags, and preparing for nights under the stars. As the evening settles in, the crackling of the campfire accompanies their dinner. Stories are shared, plans for the coming days discussed. Yet, in the vastness of the park, they are isolated, miles from the nearest soul. Unknown to them, they are not alone. The shadow among the trees is still watching the happy families with unknown intent. What draws him to this family? What dark thoughts run through his mind? As they retreat into their tents, the families are unaware of the horrors that await. In the quiet of the night, the line between peace and peril is blurred. What happened at this idyllic campsite? The mystery remains shrouded in the darkness of Wells Gray. In the midst of the Johnsons and Bentleys' idyllic escape into the Canadian wilderness, a sinister presence looms. Unseen, unheard, but ever watchful, this observer casts a dark shadow over what should have been a peaceful retreat. As the families make memories, Shearing observes from the shadows. What thoughts run through his mind as he watches the children play, the parents relax? Does he see them as people, or merely as pawns in a twisted game only he understands? Experts speculate, trying to unravel the psyche of a stalker. Shearing's actions hint at a disturbed mind, one that finds solace in the shadows, watching, waiting. But for what? In the wilderness, where every tree can hide a secret, Shearing becomes the unseen observer, a ghostly figure whose motives are as obscured as his presence. What role does he play in the tragic events that unfold in Wells Gray Provincial Park? In the next chapter of this haunting tale, we peel back the layers of this mystery, inching closer to the heart of darkness that lurks within Wells Gray. What horrors await in the shadow of the unseen observer? In the vast wilderness of Wells Gray Provincial Park, a single phone call echoes through the trees, marking the last known contact with the outside world for the Johnsons and Bentleys. It's a call that would soon resonate with haunting significance. August 6, 1982. Edith Bentley reaches out to her other daughter, a routine check-in that now stands as a chilling prelude to mystery. What words were exchanged? What might have been said had they known what awaited them? This call, mundane in its nature, now haunts the memories of those left behind. A mother's voice, calm and unsuspecting, a stark contrast to the silent scream of the wilderness around her. The families, lost in their laughter and joy, remain blissfully ignorant of the fact that their connection to the world has just been severed. In the embrace of nature, are they also in the grasp of something more sinister? As Edith hangs up the phone, Shearing watches. a predator in the shadows, his gaze fixed on his unsuspecting prey. What goes through the mind of a man who knows these are the final moments of peace for his targets? Forensic experts ponder the weight of this last call. It's a timestamp, a marker that separates the known from the abyss of the unknown. What critical clues lie in this final connection with the outside world? As night falls on Wells Gray, the families retreat into their tents, unaware that this day, marked by a simple phone call, will be their last of peace. The darkness of the park conceals more than just the night. As the silence grows, so does the fear and speculation. What happened in the days that followed this last contact? Stay with us as we uncover the haunting truth hidden within the shadows of Wells Gray. In the wake of the last contact, an unnerving quiet descends upon Wells Gray Provincial Park. The Johnsons and Bentleys, once vibrant in their holiday cheer, now vanish into a shroud of silence. A silence that speaks volumes. August 16, 1982. Bob Johnson, a man known for his unwavering routine, fails to appear at his job. For over 2 decades, he's been a pillar of punctuality, making his absence not just unusual, but alarming. Days turn into weeks. The family's campsites lay untouched, their laughter now a haunting memory. The wilderness, once a haven of escape, transforms into an expansive, impenetrable veil. Search parties begin to form, combing the vast wilderness of Wells Gray, but the park, with its labyrinthine forests and remote expanses, offers more questions than answers. As the search intensifies, so does the mystery of David Shearing's involvement. What has he seen? What does he know? In this vast theater of nature, Shearing plays his part from the shadows. The sudden silence of the Johnsons and Bentleys becomes a chilling metaphor for the unknown. In the absence of sound, the darkest of speculations take root. What happened in the depths of Wells Gray? As the morning sun rose over Wells Gray Provincial Park, casting its golden light through the dense canopy of trees, the Johnsons and Bentleys awoke to the serene sounds of nature. Bob and Jackie Johnson, along with George and Edith Bentley, busied themselves with preparing breakfast over the campfire. Janet and Karen, the vibrant daughters, eagerly planned their day's exploration, their laughter echoing through the trees. As the family sat down to enjoy their meal, they shared stories and plans, their voices a harmonious blend of joy and anticipation. Unbeknownst to them, the watchful eyes of David Shearing lingered in the distance, his presence an ominous shadow amidst the beauty of the wilderness. The day unfolded with exploration and discovery. The Johnsons and Bentleys hiked through the dense forests, marveling at the towering trees and the diverse wildlife. As evening approached, the families returned to their campsite, tired yet fulfilled from the day's adventures. They gathered around the campfire once again, the flames casting a warm glow on their faces. Stories and laughter filled the air, a blissful end to a perfect day. In the cover of darkness, David Shearing watched the flickering flames die down. His thoughts, obscured in the depths of his twisted mind, were a stark contrast to the innocence of the sleeping families. As the moon cast its pale light over the campsite, Shearing made his move, stepping out of the shadows and into the annals of infamy. As the silence surrounding the Johnsons and Bentleys grows deafening, concern escalates into alarm. The families, once vibrant and full of life in the heart of Wells Gray, now seem to have vanished into thin air. The Johnsons and Bentleys, usually so diligent in keeping in touch, have fallen off the map. Desperate calls are made, pleas for information, each unanswered query amplifying the sense of urgency. The RCMP steps in, their experience with the unpredictable nature of the wilderness now a crucial asset in the search. But where does one begin in such a vast, unyielding expanse? Helicopters soar over the dense canopy. Search parties comb through the underbrush. Wells Gray reveals nothing, its secrets cloaked beneath layers of foliage and shadow. What clues lie in the belongings left behind? What stories do they tell, and what secrets do they keep? The search becomes not just a physical, but a psychological quest, piercing the veil of the unknown. The search initially focused on the park, where the families had planned their ill-fated camping trip. Each day, volunteers and police officers marched through the underbrush, calling out their names, their voices swallowed by the expanse of nature. There, concealed by nature's embrace, lay the charred remains of a car, its metal twisted and blackened, a stark contrast to the surrounding greenery. The air is heavy with the scent of tragedy. The RCMP descends upon the scene, their hearts heavy with the gravity of the situation. As they sift through the ashes, the grim reality unfolds. Inside the vehicle, a horrifying sight. The burned remains of the 4 adults, each a victim of a brutal execution. But the tragedy doesn't end there. In the trunk, the unthinkable. The remains of the 2 girls, their innocence stolen by the flames, and the cruelty of their fate. The evidence speaks in hushed tones of violence. 22 caliber shells, the silent witnesses to the massacre. Each bullet, each fragment, a piece of a puzzle too horrific to comprehend. As the community grapples with the shock, a candlelight vigil illuminates the night. Tears and prayers mingle, a collective mourning for a family taken too soon. Then, as autumn began to paint the leaves in hues of red and gold, a hiker stumbled upon a chilling scene. In a secluded area of the park, far from the usual trails, lay remnants of a campsite that bore the unmistakable signs of a hurried departure. Among the scattered items, a child's toy, weathered by the elements, stood as a poignant reminder of the innocence that had been lost. The discovery reignited the search efforts, bringing new energy and focus to the teams. Yet, with each passing day, hope dimmed like the waning light of fall. The forests of Wells Gray, usually a sanctuary for wildlife and nature enthusiasts, had transformed into a labyrinth of despair. Every piece of evidence is a vital thread in a complex tapestry. The spent .22 caliber shells, the patterns of the burn, the positioning of the bodies, all crucial clues in a puzzle that begs to be solved. The RCMP's investigation fans out, extending its reach into the heart of the community. Door-to-door inquiries paint a picture of the days leading up to the tragedy, but with each testimony, the mystery deepens. As the community reels, the fear and grief become palpable. The safety of the wilderness, once taken for granted, now a question mark hanging over the heads of all. What story does this small piece of metal hold? A clue that could lead to a killer, or a red herring in a sea of uncertainty? The path to justice is obscured, winding through a maze of conjectures and dead ends. As the dense fog of mystery envelops the Wells Gray murders, the RCMP embarks on an unprecedented quest. A nationwide search begins, stretching across the vast expanse of Canada, a country holding its breath for answers. In the vastness of British Columbia's wilderness, amidst the sprawling investigation of the Wells Gray murders, a new chapter unfolds. The focus shifts, narrowing to a suspect much closer to home. The RCMP, armed with a barrage of tips and leads, encounter a name that surfaces from the depths of the investigation. David Shearing, a local, becomes a person of intrigue. Shearing, a 24-year-old man, known to the locals but unnoticed by the broader community, leads a seemingly unremarkable life, But beneath this facade of normalcy, questions begin to surface. As the RCMP delves deeper, the people of Clearwater weigh in. Some recall Shearing as unassuming, others as a quiet loner. But it's the unspoken that echoes the loudest, a community grappling with the possibility of a monster in their midst. The investigation intensifies. Undercover officers trail Shearing, tracing his movements, dissecting his interactions. Each step, each turn, scrutinized under the lens of suspicion. Items in Shearing's possession pique interest. Are these mere belongings of a local, or do they hold the key to unlocking the Wells Gray mystery? The tension mounts as the RCMP prepares for a confrontation. The air is thick with anticipation, the moment of truth approaching. Will Shearing shed light on the darkness that engulfed the Johnson and Bentley families? November 19, 1983. The RCMP, tirelessly sifting through a mountain of leads, stumble upon a piece of information that alters the course of the investigation. A tip, seemingly innocuous, yet laden with potential. An anonymous informant steps forward, a voice in the night revealing a chilling detail. David Shearing, the unassuming local, had inquired about re-registering a Ford pickup and repairing a bullet hole, a detail not released to the public. The pieces start to align. The RCMP, with renewed vigor, orchestrates a plan to apprehend Shearing. The air is electric with anticipation, each officer aware of the gravity of what's to come. In a swift, calculated move, Shearing is apprehended. The man who once walked the streets of Clearwater, now in the firm grip of justice. His arrest sends shockwaves through the community. Behind closed doors, the interrogation begins. The RCMP, methodical and relentless, seek to peel back the layers of Shearing's facade. Will he heal the secrets that have eluded them for so long? He admitted that he shot the adults, then held the two young girls captive and sexually assaulted them before he shot the girls as well. David Shearing, now known as David Ennis, sits in the dock, his fate hanging in the balance. The air is thick with tension, the grief of a shattered community palpable. April 16, 1984. The courtroom is packed, the air heavy with anticipation. Families and friends of the victims, the media, and the public all converge to witness the culmination of a nightmare that began in the serene wilderness of Wells Gray. Shearing, a man whose actions defy understanding, pleads guilty to 6 counts of murder. The courtroom falls into a stunned silence. The question on everyone's mind: why? Why would a man commit such heinous acts against an innocent family? We remember the Johnsons and the Bentleys not as victims of a heinous crime, but as individuals full of life and love. Their memories, etched into the hearts of those they left behind, become a beacon of resilience in the face of unspeakable tragedy. As Shearing, now Ennis, is led away, sentenced to life with no chance of parole for 25 years, we are left to ponder the enigma of his motives. What led him down this dark path? Is justice truly served in the silence of unanswered questions? In the wake of the harrowing trial and the sentencing of David Shearing, now known as David Ennis, the town of Clearwater faced a new dawn. A dawn marked not by the rising sun, but by the aftermath of a tragedy that had torn at the very fabric of this close-knit community. Here, in this quaint town, where the wilderness meets civilization, the echoes of the past are never too far away. The scars left by the Wells Gray murders are not just etched in the hearts of the victims' families, but are shared by each resident of Clearwater. This memorial, a poignant reminder of the lives lost, stands in silent testimony to the tragedy. It's become a place of reflection, where people come to remember, to mourn, and perhaps to find peace. The story of the Wells Gray Provincial Park murders is not just a historical crime, but a continuing narrative with deep emotional and social consequences. The community's efforts to remember the victims and seek justice, the impact on local tourism, and the ongoing emotional trauma experienced by those connected to the victims all underscore the far-reaching effects of this tragedy. The Wells Gray murders may have brought a storm over Clearwater, but in its wake, it has also revealed the strength and unity of this community. The people of Clearwater have shown that even in the darkest of times, hope can be found and healing can begin. In Clearwater, life goes on, but the memories remain, a solemn reminder of the past and a beacon of hope for the future. In the aftermath of his arrest, David Shearing, now known as David Ennis, sat in an interrogation room, a setting far removed from the tranquil forests of Wells Gray Park. Here, in these stark walls, he would reveal the chilling details of his heinous acts. Shearing's confession sent shockwaves through the investigative team. His words, devoid of remorse, painted a picture of a predator lurking in the wilderness, preying on an unsuspecting family. Shearing admitted to stalking the family, waiting in the shadows before making his move. His confession detailed how he methodically executed the adults, his actions driven by a chillingly calculated plan. Shearing's actions and his subsequent confession reveal a deeply disturbed individual. His ability to blend into the community, to appear as one of their own, adds a layer of complexity to his psychopathic tendencies. As Shearing's dark confessions came into light, the community of Clearwater grappled with the reality of the evil that had walked among them. The revelation of his motives and actions only deepened the wounds. When the details of his confession were made public, it was almost too much to bear. How could someone do something so monstrous? The community was in a state of shock, disbelief, and profound grief. David Shearing's confessions revealed the darkest depths of human depravity, but for the families of the victims and the residents of Clearwater, it also marked the beginning of a long, painful journey towards understanding and, perhaps, closure. In the wake of one of Canada's most horrifying crimes, the legacy of the tragedy at Wells Gray Provincial Park extends far beyond the courtroom and the quiet streets of Clearwater. It has imprinted itself in the collective memory of a nation. The story of the Johnson and Bentley families resonated across the country, awakening a national conversation on crime, justice, and the safety of secluded natural spaces. The Wells Gray murders are not just a chapter in a book, they represent a turning point. It challenged our perceptions of safety, particularly in our wilderness areas, and brought about changes in police procedures and public awareness. The legacy of this tragedy also lies in the hearts of those who remember. Annual vigils, not just in Clearwater, but in various parts of Canada, serve as a reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of community solidarity in the face of evil. Wells Gray murders is one of unimaginable tragedy, yet, in its wake, it has also been a story of community, of strength, and of the enduring power of memory. The legacy of the Johnson and Bentley families will not be forgotten. It will be carried forward, a reminder of the past and a beacon for the future. In the heart of British Columbia, amidst the beauty of Wells Gray, the echoes of the past resonate. Here, we remember, we reflect, and we pledge to never forget.